Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm back once again with Week 4's edition of What Have We Learned? What we learned is that the three teams that came in undefeated stayed undefeated, that being the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans, and the Arizona Cardinals, surprisingly. Also, teams that really suck. And I'm looking at you, New York Jets. And teams with bad luck that still have yet to capture that first victory of the season, and that's the New Orleans Saints. I mean, who would have thought that at the end of the first quarter of the season that the Saints would be at the bottom of the pile, and teams like the Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings would be sitting pretty in their divisions, respectively. Um, Teams that took a setback in the week before bounced back. New England, San Francisco, obviously being the two teams that had the biggest bounce back. New England basically put them paws on Buffalo in the second half, ran up 50 points on them, and then coming off, I wouldn't even say it was a shocking victory, because if you watched that game, you knew Minnesota actually outplayed San Francisco in this one. But coming off of basically a surprise defeat, they really stomped out the Jets, and it wasn't pretty. And the Jets, if they even make it to 6-10, I'd be shocked. Like, they're that bad, and it only got worse for them as their biggest playmaker on offense, Antonio Holmes, suffered what is now known as a Lisfranc injury, which meant he messed his foot up really bad, and it was a non-contact injury, which more often than not, those are the worst. And then on top of that, he throws the ball in the air. Carlos Rogers scoops it up. It's a touchdown. And Santonio Holmes is now out for the season. And, of course, everybody in New York, and this is what happens in a major market city when you bring in the circus. And by circus, I mean bringing in Tim Tebow. And I'm not clowning him. I'm just saying this is the publicity he brings. I mean, it's already bad enough that the Jets were already known as the NFL circus with Rex Ryan, and his braggadocious demeanor and his boastful predictions and things of that nature. Then you bring in somebody who is a lightning rod for media talk, and Tim Tebow, and then Mark Sanchez is not having a great season, and some of that can be attributed to him, and a lot of that can be attributed to him not really having any kind of playmakers. I mean, he's the AFC East version of the Rams right now. He's Sam Bradford at this point. But that team is in a world of trouble. And I mean, the Browns are the Browns, but I mean, they don't look near as bad as the Jets do right now. Also, how about them Cowboys? If you're a Cowboys fan, this has got to be one of the more excruciating jobs that you could have, because one minute they give you the highest of highs. They go into the Meadowlands and they beat the defending Super Bowl champions opening night. And you're thinking, boom, this team is on it. We got a good defense. Secondary did their job. DeMarco Murray ran wild. Romo found Ogletree. We got more weapons. And then the Seattle game where they just get pummeled real bad. And then they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won that game, but there wasn't much in that game that made you say, it was a hard-fought victory. Our team is in good shape. Because if you watched the Monday night game against the Bears, that team, to be a fan of that team, man, God bless you all that are, it can't be easy. It just cannot be easy. The turnovers, the lack of concentration, the lack of rhythm, and really just getting stomped out in your own house. It's got to be, and make it so bad, fans from the visiting team out cheering the home team's fans. That's pathetic. And what we learned about Week 4 is that there are teams that are surprising. There are teams that are separating themselves from the pack. And then there are teams that are basically having parties in the basement. And the Steelers and the Colts actually had last week off, so they had time to rest up and prepare for their action this week. Now, we're going to head into Week 5, and I'm going to cut this video short real quick because I want to get into the picks and I want to separate the tape so you actually can watch one video and then watch the other instead of having to sit through a very long version of what I do, because I saw what I did in what have we learned in week 2, and I don't think anybody has time to sit there for an hour. And if you do, God bless you, I love you, but I'm not gonna put the rest of the viewers through that. So what we learned in week 4, Arizona, amazing. St. Louis, scrappy. That rookie kicker they have, Greg Zerline. That kid's you better look out for him. Like, I don't know if he's got that Janikowski leg, but he's coming close. Um, the Eagles, when Vic is healthy, they play a lot better. When they give LaShawn McCoy some more touches, hey, guess what? You have the running back the ball, things happen. Great things happen. So Andy Reid deviated from his norm of pass, maybe a run here and there, and actually called a balanced game. Like I said, Pitt was off last week. Green Bay almost had another ref controversy last week. We all know what happened in Seattle. I think that's going to be talked about for a long time, but I'm not going to talk about it here. They got back in their winning ways. Colts were off last week, as I said, and I'm going team by team as who's playing who in week 5. This is why I'm going in that kind of order for those that are wondering here. Cleveland, while they still lost, they played a lot harder. They look a lot more competitive, so give them that. But they're still the team of the basement. The Giants, Ramses Barden. Can't do that, buddy. I mean, you basically cost Greg Tynes 10 yards of real estate for him to try a field goal. But they have a lot more problems than that. For one, staying healthy. That team can be impressive, but it's almost as if they're cursed by bad conditioning. Atlanta is living up to what a lot of analysts said that they would be, as far as being an elite team. For the first quarter of the season, they are. They're 4-0. They have a stout offense, which is shocking considering how much they scored in last year's playoff game. But that's in the past, and this is the regular season. So regular season-wise, they are killing it. Washington, RG3, Rookie of the Year. You might as well just hand it to him. Might as well crown his ass. The kid is playing tremendous, but let's not forget one Alfred Morris, a 6th-round pick. Mike Shanahan can find these running backs diamonds in the rough, like he did with Terrell Davis at Denver. Now, I'm not saying Alfred Morris is the next Terrell Davis, but you look at where they were drafted and how they were performing at this time, Shanahan knows what he's doing. And Alfred Morris, great job, buddy. Miami, Brian Hartline. Who the hell would have had him as their number 1 receiver in fantasy football, where he went off for 12 catches, 250, 2.5, and a touchdown? And that team almost beat Arizona, but almost doesn't count. Horseshoes and hand grenades. But Tannehill played lights out. He was 1 yard shy of tying the rookie record that Cam Newton set last year for most passing yards in a single game. So I think Tannehill is getting comfortable with that offense, and that could bode well for the future of the Miami Dolphins. Bengals beat who they're supposed to beat. This is a known fact. They beat the weak teams, and they lose to the good to great teams. If they can just put it together and at least beat a great team every now and then, they'd be a threat. But, hey, you give them the easy pickings, they'll pick them off. They cherry pick. But, hey, they just play who's on the schedule. So, Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, great QB receiver duo. Look out for them. Keep looking out for them. Baltimore, once again, they're 3-1. They're tough to play at home, and they're Baltimore. What more do I need to say? Kansas City, you're in a world of trouble. It's shown that a lot of people don't have confidence or faith in Matt Castle anymore. Scott Pioli, his job is on the line at this point, so there may be some major shakeup that's going to happen in that franchise in the next couple months, because with all that firepower around them, there's no way they should be 1-3 at this point. So, Seattle, you got exposed. Rookie QB. He was made to look like a rookie QB. 3 interceptions against the Rams. Marshawn Lynch is Marshawn Lynch, but without a passing game, without at least a moderate passing game, Seattle's not going to go very far. Carolina, heartbreaker. After being called out for sulking, Cam Newton balled out. He made one mistake and not holding on to the ball on a 3rd and 1, and he fumbled. They had to punt. But the secondary also let that team down when Matt Ryan basically chucked the ball out of the end zone and hit Roddy White for it was like a 50-plus yard gain out of his own end zone. That's piss poor. But as far as the Cam Newton storyline goes, he definitely bounced back. So it's good to have a big brother get in your face every now and then. Chicago, what more needs to be said? Their defense is very, very talented. They're very lights out. They're very opportunistic. 5 turnovers in that game against Dallas. They lead the league in takeaways. And if Cutler and Marshall can do what they did against Dallas week in and week out, they're dangerous. Jacksonville is Jacksonville. They suck. Denver, back in Peyton Manning form. He definitely looked a hell of a lot better than he has in the first few games. And beating up on the Raiders had to have been sweet enough as a Broncos fan after a couple seasons of Oakland coming into Denver and beating Denver at Mile High. New England, serious bounce back, and that was a serious ass whooping that they laid on Buffalo. But Buffalo's always been New England's bitch, and for the first half of the game, it almost looked like Buffalo was trying to make a statement, and then New England just said, "Wait a minute, y'all are the Bills. I'm gonna whoop that ass," and they whooped that ass with authority, with an extension cord while you were butt naked, wet, coming out of the shower. Buffalo, I just spoke about y'all. So see my comments about New England. San Francisco, Minnesota was a wake-up call. Got humbled. They went back to work and just completely shut down the New York Jets. Everybody's like, well, it was the Jets, but at the same time, everybody was saying, well, it's the Minnesota Vikings, and we all saw what happened to them last week. So don't leave it up to chance. Just take care of business, and that's what they did. Tennessee, Jake Locker's hurt. Could be hurt. It could be out longer than expected. Hey, Chris Johnson actually rushed for over 100 yards last week, but they still lost and got their asses kicked. Minnesota, surprising team this year. Christian Ponder looks very comfortable. Matt Khalil has not let Christian Ponder get sacked from his side since he's been a starter. This is a rookie, folks. And that defense looks tremendous. So the NFC North, there's some serious competition going on in that division. So keep a lookout on it. San Diego, they bounced back by thoroughly beating the shit out of Kansas City at Kansas City. I thought that Kansas City would play a lot better, be a lot more competitive. Thanks for proving me wrong on that. New Orleans, Bounty Gate. I'll just leave it at that. They're 0-4. Houston's Houston. Complete team. Probably the most complete team in the AFC, if not the league. And the Jets. I just spoke about the Jets. God bless you guys. So that's what we learned about the NFL teams that played in Week 4. Stay tuned as I give you my picks for tonight's game and the games throughout the week.